Hey guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here once again. Okay, it happened. It finally fucking happened. I have beaten Dragon Quest VII Fragments of the Forgotten Past. Still can't learn that fucking subtitle. This game was an endeavour, okay? I was told for years when I started getting into Dragon Quest for the first time that this one in particular was notorious for just being really drawn out and long and just like a real beast of a JRPG, you know? Or at least the PS1 version was, which I've got up there. But I always said ha to those such concerns. You know, I'm going to go into this, I'm going to beat it, becoming such a big Dragon Quest fan at the time, you know? But I didn't know if Nintendo or Square or that was actually going to localize this one, and a lot of us were like, oh well then. But no and behold, they did. 3 years after it came out in Japan, okay? Because this is a big game, it really is, and there's so much text in it, so much to translate. Props to Nintendo, who apparently supplied the translation for this, okay? You botched a few things, okay? You changed some characters' names that were kind of weird now. But regardless, she gave us it, and I'm grateful, so yeah, good on you, Nintendo. So with that said, shall we get into it? Now, I did a first impressions video of this before, and I was talking about my previous experiences with Dragon Quest games and going into this one, so I'll just try to be clear-cut and all that, and just judge it from a completely like objective standpoint, you know, not as a fan or anything, you know, how does this hold up on its own? Like, can you jump, well, actually, that's the first question answered right there. You can just jump right into this, you don't need to play any other Dragon Quest games. Although I guess with that said, I wouldn't recommend that you start with this one, because again, it is so massive and taxing, as it were. I mean, if that sounds attractive to you, be my fucking guest, you know, but I would definitely recommend 4, 5, and 8 before I would recommend 7. At least from a starting place, you know, because, well, maybe not so much 8, but 4 and 5 are definitely much shorter games than that one, for sure. Okay, there's no point in doing this video, is there? Right? You all saw my first impressions video. With a game like this, it doesn't matter if you play it for 20 hours or if you play it for 100 hours like I fucking did, okay? It's Dragon Quest. It's a turn-based traditional RPG about fucking teenagers going off to save the fucking world with boss battles and potentially other stuff, and yeah, it's like Dragon Quest does get away with it because this was technically the first game to establish what we all know to this day as a JRPG, you know? And I guess to some people it can get hard to look past that, you know? Most people will just see something rather generic for its genre and that, but no, that's not the case at all. This is where it's at, okay? This is the, you go to the end of the breadcrumb trail, you'll find Dragon Quest if you're playing like your Final Fantasies and whatnot, you know? So there's I'd see, playing for it, this is how I felt, right? It feels like the very, like, skeleton of this genre is existent within this series, you know? And if you truly love this genre, the JRPG, okay, then you really just owe it to yourself to try a Dragon Quest game, because you'll just get nothing but the rawest of experiences from the series, you know? It is traditional in every aspect, and there's something there that I clearly can't get enough of as I've been playing these games left, right, and centre, and as a result I can't really recommend it enough, you know? I don't think I've talked about the actual game yet, have I? No, haven't I? Right, let's just go for a list or whatever, shall we? Graphic-wise, it's a nice looking game, you know, for definite. You know, for a 3-year-old 3DS game, you know, obviously some games on the same system can look a wee bit aged as time goes on, and aside from some like stiff animations, which I suppose is like acceptable for a game of this size, it does look quite nice, you know. There's I suppose it could all run like a little bit better. Also the fact that so many of the NPCs are just like the same models that you've already seen throughout the entire game. and you get a little bit of pop-ups, tiny wee bits of frame rates. You know, it just doesn't hold up extremely perfectly, but that's not to say that it doesn't hold up well. It's still nice to look at. It is. Music again is alright. Dragon Quest isn't really a series that I think of like with the music. You know, obviously I know the Dragon Quest theme and all that, but I can't think of many catchy songs with that series. I don't know, it's weird, but again, it gets the job done. And like most Dragon Quest games, you will hear the battle theme a lot. I actually had this experience just the other week there, where I couldn't like hum the battle theme to Dragon Quest V, you know? I was like, what's the battle theme to Dragon Quest V again? You know, I couldn't bring it to mind. So I went on YouTube, got the battle theme up, listened to it for 1 second, paused the video, and for the rest of the day the battle theme was stuck in my head, because I knew the battle theme so well, I heard it so many times, as you would in any Dragon Quest game, and that's what's going to happen here if you play this game. So thankfully it's a good one. I heard a lot of it beforehand in Dragon Quest Heroes for the PS4, because it gets used in that game. But yeah, it's a good one. Definitely is. Now, as said before, it's about as traditional as you can get from a gameplay standpoint, you know, turn-based stuff. I really hope it maintains this in Dragon Quest XI. We know it will in the 3DS game. Some people have like speculated in the PlayStation 4 version of the game we're going to get like something more real-time and modern. Final Fantasy can get away with that. I don't think Dragon Quest can. Dragon Quest, you fucking stay traditional, okay? You gotta, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I suppose like when it comes to most games in the series, I like to think of like there's little things that set them all apart from each other, you know, like and in this one it's the fact that it's not necessarily a big story, but rather lots of little stories that all come together, because the premise of the game is that you play as these kids obviously, and you collect these tablet fragments. And when you complete a tablet, you unlock a new island in the world, but you don't unlock the island right away. You go into the past of that island, you have to solve a problem, then you go back into the present, then the island shows up on the world map and you can go and explore it in the present day and see your actions take place, your actions that you did in the past take place what would happen in the future. And it's a really gratifying thing, you know, and it goes on like that for a while. And the quest is pretty much just finding these tablets and putting them together and unlocking more islands, which you will be doing this a lot. And I suppose it must be said that they streamlined this version from the PS1 a wee bit. It's now a lot easier to keep track of where the stone tablets are kept, thanks to a little blinking light on the touchscreen, which is extremely helpful. And a lot of things have apparently been trimmed. You know, they've trimmed the fat a lot. Which I've not noticed, obviously, because I've not played the PS1 original, but I guess I can appreciate it regardless. The only other thing that's really noteworthy to bring up, and this is actually the first Dragon Quest game I've played to sort of do this, is the game's class system. Now, this doesn't happen until like 25 hours into the game, very late on, from what I can tell. You unlock the ability to unlock new classes for your characters. Now, you give people a class, they learn new abilities, and they get to keep them. Some of them you have to stay the class in order to use it, which is fair enough, I suppose. But you will master the class based on how much you use it, and if you master enough characters, you unlock better classes. And it's like you can imagine it. You know, it gets very addicting to try and like master this class to get this item, to get this ability. Sorry. And keep going on like that. And this too has been changed from the PS1 version, because in the PS1 version, for starters, it apparently took a lot longer, and in this game it already takes forever, so thank fuck for that. But they also made it so that when you learn the ability, you don't get to keep it right away. You have to stay that class in order to keep using it, at least with some of them, like I said earlier. They did this apparently to try and differentiate the characters in your party, because in the original Dragon Quest game, everybody could learn every move in the game, and you effectively had the same 4 characters in your party. And so I can appreciate that. And I was very glad that I got into it, because that's usually a wee turn off for me. I don't know, it's games like Etrian Odyssey, where you are completely in control of your party, you know, to the point where you can literally make brand new party members, start off from square one with a certain class, and you've got to build it up from there. I'm very much more in love with like what you get in something like Dragon Quest VIII, where you just have your 4 characters, no classes, you just grind them up, give them the best weapons you can afford or find at the time, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. That's the way I like it, so I'm surprised that with like this sort of class system, I enjoyed it as much as I did. With that said, one big gripe I guess I do have is that there are 6 main characters in the game, 6 main playable characters I should say, and when you get them, they're all really like spread out. I didn't actually get my final party member until about 55 hours in, okay, and it takes fucking forever. Because you spend actually a good majority of the game with only 3 characters, even though you can hold up to 4. And one of your party members, one of the ones that's, on the very cover of the game, actually leaves the game completely after like 15 hours, you know? And it's just such a weird thing, you know? He's like so important at the beginning and then poof, he just leaves like that. And yeah, party members will also like casually just drop out of your party and all that. And it always annoyed me because it's like I've leveled this character up so much. They would eventually come back outside of that one instance, 15 hours in. You could always like get characters that would drop out suddenly back. But it was still annoying because you kept thinking to yourself, well, I kept thinking to myself, oh, they're about to level up in this class, oh, and then I can unlock that class, and then they left like, oh. So, that was a thing, but, yeah, I think that's all I want to say about this one. It was, I really, really enjoyed it, to the point that I'm still sort of in Dragon Quest mode, so, like, in fact, guys, can you comment and tell me how much of a bad idea this is? But I think I'm going to go on to Dragon Quest VI now. I know I just did that video there with like 12 games that I've still got to play through, that I could be playing through, but no, I'm going back to Dragon Quest. I'm an idiot. So, yeah, that's that, guys. Suffice to say, I highly recommend this game. I guess I would chuck out a warning to say you should pretty much know if you're into this sort of game before you go for it. You know, if you don't usually like JRPGs, there's no way you will like this because this is as JRPG as you can get. And I also can't wait for Dragon Quest VIII to come out. I will definitely buy that and give it a go, but I'll be curious to see if I actually like stick with the game, because that's another big one. It takes another like 80 hours to beat Dragon Quest VIII, and I've already played it on the PS2. So we'll see how that goes out. So, yeah. That's that, guys. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. I hope Final Fantasy 15 is good.